Okay. Today is 6th December, I think. আজকে 6 তারিখ তো নাকি?
স্যার 5 তারিখ।
5 তারিখ।
5 আচ্ছা। We are almost at the end of the discussion of PMMC instruments. A small thing remains today. That is the PMMC meters. PMMC meters under AC excitation. PMMC meters means here ammeters and voltmeters we are considering. And here our input is normally DC. A steady current is applied for which the meter attains some steady deflection theta f, and theta f is proportional to the applied current or applied DC current. Okay, so our theta f is equal to GI by C. I is the meter, that is the coil current or meter current. Now what happens if our input current is AC? Okay, let our applied current is some Im sin omega t. Im is the amplitude of oscillation. Then our deflection is Gim sin omega t by C. So when we apply a pulsating current, then our deflection, it is also proportional to the same frequency omega. It oscillates that with omega. Okay, but a PMMC instrument is having certain mass. For the moving system, it is having some mass, and therefore it is having some inertia. Now our applied frequency is normally omega equal to 2 pi f. It is 2 pi f. It is our A, and f is 50 hertz. At least this frequency. Now 50 hertz is not a large frequency for an AC system, but for a mechanical system with certain mass and hence inertia, the oscillation with 50 cycles per second is not really small, it is quite high. The moving system cannot move with such high frequency, that is 50 cycles per second. So what it will do, due to its inertia property, it will stick to the average value of oscillation. So it will be theta f average equal to, so what is the average value? It is 0 to t integration 0 to t theta f dt. So it is 1 by t. So it is Im 0 to t. Now there is certain things there, Gim. Okay, I write it again. It is here 1 by t into theta f is Gim by C, then sin omega t, integration sin omega t dt. Now what is the value of that integration? It is the area under the curve. For a sine wave, there is one half cycle in the positive side and another half cycle in the negative side. So total area is 0. One positive area for positive half cycle and negative area for negative half cycle. Total area under the curve is given by the integration, which is 0. So when we integrate, we get the result equal to 0. Okay, the result is equal to 0. It means that the average value of oscillation for the sine wave is 0. It oscillates around the mean value or average value. And the moving system cannot move with a large frequency, so it will stick to the mean value or average value of oscillation due to its inertia property. So the pointer does not move. It means the moving system along with the pointer does not move. It means the coil is carrying some AC current, but the pointer does not show any deflection. So we may have the mistake that we may conclude wrongly that there is no current flowing through the coil, which is not correct. So PMMC instrument cannot be applied in AC condition, in AC situation. It can be used only in DC. Okay. So PMMC instrument does not read under AC. PMMC meters do not read AC. Clear? But with one trick, with one technique, we can make the instrument read, okay, some AC. AC means in AC signal, AC voltage or current, what thing we want to measure actually? Mainly we want to measure the RMS value of the current or voltage. With one trick, we can make the instrument read the RMS value of AC current. So what is the trick? So let's see. Now, the trick is that if we connect one rectifier arrangement, okay, then we can use the PMMC instrument to measure AC. So PMMC rectifier, your rectifier means full wave arrangement. Okay, what is that? Consider that there is a AC signal. This is AC. We are applying I equal to Im sin omega t. That is applied to one full wave bridge circuit. Full wave bridge rectifier. You already know the working principle of full wave bridge rectifier. I think you know from your electronics class. So what is the waveform then? The waveform is I dash, which is that particular thing. Its amplitude remaining same, it is same Im. Now we apply our PMMC meter. Our PMMC meter. It reads some current, maybe some voltage also, something like. Now, what is the reading of PMMC instrument? It will be the reading of the average value. Okay. So theta F is equal to G. We know it will read actually theta F equal to theta F average. That average value of deflection will be I dash average. G I dash average by C. Okay. So it will read the average value of oscillation. Okay. Where, okay, I write it I dash, capital I dash, where I dash average is equal to 1 by T integration 0 to T, okay, I dash dt. Now, what is I dash average? What is the average value of a full wave rectifier? We know after computation we can get it. Actually, it is the same
2 Im by
waveform.
pi.
You are right. It is 1 by T by 2 integration 0 to T by T actually. It is sufficient to integrate over one half cycle only. I dash dt. So if you complete it, it will be 2 Im by pi. That is the average value. So the reading of the PMMC instrument is that one. Okay. Now, what is the ratio of RMS to average value of the instrument? That is the form factor. Form factor of the current I dash is equal to, okay, RMS ratio of RMS value of I dash to average value of I dash. Now, what is the RMS value of that thing? That full rectified wave? It is Im by root 2. And here note that for the original waveform also its RMS value is Im by root 2. And for the rectified wave also RMS value does not change. Because in RMS value, first we square the waveform and then do the remaining computation. Now, when we square, whether the waveform is negative or positive, it doesn't matter. Here also the squaring of waveform and here squaring of waveform, they give the same squared function. Clear? So ultimately, the RMS value becomes same for both the waveforms. So it is Im by root 2 and average is 2 Im by pi, which is equal to pi by 2 into root over 2 into root 2, which is 1.11. Clear? Now we can take the I RMS dash by I average dash. Now I go to the next page, page number 2. Therefore, it is I RMS dash by I average dash equal to 1.11. Now, our PMMC instrument reads I average dash. So, reading of PMMC instrument equal to I average dash because its deflection theta f average is proportional to this current, proportional to I average dash. As deflection is proportional to that current, the reading in the scale we can mark it with the I average dash. So the reading of PMMC instrument is I average dash. Now what we do, if we multiply this instrument scale reading with 1.11, we know I RMS dash is 1.11 into I average dash. So if the scale of the instrument is chosen to be with a multiplying factor of 1.11, the calibration means marking, becomes the RMS value. It means what? Internally the deflection is proportional to I average dash, but in the marking it will be 1.11 into I average dash. So we are using a multiplying factor of 1.11. We are using a multiplying factor of 1.11. So our scale now shows the RMS value, not the average value. So when the pointer goes to a value which is to an angle which is proportional to average dash, the marking will be in terms of IRMS dash. So deflection is proportional to I average dash, but the scale marking will be proportional to I average dash. Sorry, I RMS dash. As the multiplying factor is fixed, always the form factor of the waveform, which is 1.11 fixed. So that's how, okay, we can use the PMMC instrument to measure RMS value of AC quantity. Therefore, we can use the PMMC meter, okay, to measure RMS value of AC sinusoidal quantity. RMS value of AC sinusoidal quantity. Yeah. So that is the use of this particular thing. Same is true for voltmeter application also. Only thing is that the voltage is proportional to the current. There is a multiplier is connected, high series resistance is there. So the total voltage is proportional to the coil current. So voltage is proportional to the current means instead of measuring any AC current, it is now measuring the scale marking will be in terms of AC voltage. So we can use PMMC instrument to measure AC sinusoidal voltage also. AC sinusoidal voltage also. Okay. So that is the application. But one serious disadvantage is there in that application. It is a very simple solution and very elegant solution because the cost of the rectifier is very simple. Only the cost of some diodes. 4 diodes are required, and you know the diode is extremely cheap now. If you go to Chandni Chowk and buy diode, you'll see one diode will cost around 1 rupee. Sometimes for better, some other diodes it may cost 2 rupee, 3 rupee, not like that, not more than this. So only 4 diodes in bridge configuration and some more connecting wires and all these things. No cost, extremely cheap. But one disadvantage is also there for such solution. So what is the shortcoming of that thing? Now I want to say this thing, shortcoming or disadvantage. The thing is that if our input is not a pure sinusoidal quantity, the instrument does not know whether we have applied a pure sine or some impure sine or even some totally different type of waveform like triangular, rectangular, okay, sawtooth or any other type of waveform. The instrument does not know what it does. It finds the average value of that current and multiply it with 1.11. But the form factor of other type of waveform is not 1.11. Their form factor is different. Okay, so once it finds out the average value, then to get the actual true RMS value, that average value should be multiplied with the actual form factor, okay, of that particular waveform. Get my point? Which is not equal to 1.11. But our scale is already calibrated or marked in terms of a fixed, using a fixed multiplying factor 1.11. Once we mark the dial, we cannot change very often. So instrument gives us some erroneous result. Okay. So when the coil current is not a pure sinusoidal one, the ratio of RMS to average value, that is form factor of the waveform, the ratio of RMS to average value, that is the form factor of waveform, becomes different from 1.11. This factor, okay, is not same as the multiplying factor, okay, of the scale. Okay. Therefore, the instrument reading becomes different, becomes erroneous. Erroneous. Clear? Now I want to give one example here. Consider that, okay? So example. Example. Say one current I this. It is say it is 5 ampere and it is T by 2, T this one. The current I is applied to a PMMC rectifier arrangement. Is applied to a PMMC rectifier arrangement. Okay. What is the reading of the instrument and its and the error in reading? Error in reading. Now let's find out. First we find out the equation of that. I equal to 5 ampere when our T is in between 0 and T by 2. And it is equal to 0 when T is in between T by 2 and capital T. That is the one cycle of the waveform. Just one cycle description. One cycle description, okay, of the waveform. Okay. So what is the I average? I average is 1 by T integration 0 to T I dt, which is equal to 1 by T. We can write it 0 to T by 2, where its value is 5, plus T by 2 to T, where its value is 0. So ultimately it is 5 by T integration 0 to T by 2 dt, that value. So if you integrate it, it is the result is just 5 by 2 or 2.5 ampere. That is the average value of the current. Okay, average value of the current. Now, the instrument reading is what? The reading of the instrument is equal to 1.11 into I average. So 1.11 into 2.5 ampere. So it is coming something like it is 2.775, I think. Isn't it? 2.5 into 11, so 2.5, 2.75.
Yes, sir.
2.75. Yes.
Sir,
2.75 ampere.
2.775.
You are right. 2.775. 2.775 ampere. Instrument reading. But what is the true RMS? Okay. Value. True RMS value is I equal to 1 by T integration 0 to T I square dt, and square root of that, it is capital I RMS I am writing, I RMS. So it's the power, whole to the power half. Or now I am first finding out I RMS square to make it easy. So it will be 0 to T by 2 and T by 2 to capital T. Now between 0 to T by 2, its value is 5 square, and T by 2 T, its value is 0. So we can integrate it. So ultimately it will be, so if you calculate, you will find out that it is coming as IRMS equal to, just 1 minute, IRMS equal to, it is coming 5 by root 2, it will be coming. How I find out it directly, there is a method I'll tell you. So it is 5 into 1 by root 2 means 0.707. So 3.5 ampere, 3.5 ampere. So it is the true RMS value of the instrument. So percentage error equal to, now it is the reading, instrument reading minus true reading or true value by reading of instrument into 100. Actually, the error is always calculated in terms of present reading of instrument, because the true value is not always known to us. It is known only when the reading of one instrument is compared with the reading of another standard instrument. In a laboratory, the reading of every instrument is compared with a standard instrument reading, and there is a error curve generated within the laboratory. After the error curve is generated, now the manufacturer starts selling it in the market. So with the manufacturer, okay, they have another instrument which is more accurate, which is called standard instrument. So they know they are the true value. But we don't have our own laboratory, and even if we have our own laboratory, okay, we don't use it always also. We buy one instrument, okay, consult the error curve, the error table, and we directly connect the instrument to our application. So with us, what is available only? We have only the instrument reading and nothing else. We have no other instrument with us apart from the instrument that we buy from the market. Get my point? Therefore, we have only this reading, instrument reading. So the error is expressed in terms of this present reading of the instrument, the current reading of the instrument. So what is that? It is equal to, therefore we know 2.775 minus 3.5 by 2.775 into 100 percentage. So we are getting some value. You calculate it. I don't know what is the result. So that is the error. So you see, therefore we can see that the drawback of the instrument is that if the waveform of current becomes no longer a pure waveform, pure sinusoidal waveform, the waveform error will be reflected in the instrument reading. Okay, so therefore a non-sinusoidal waveform cannot be measured correctly with such an arrangement. So that is the drawback. So it is what I write therefore in one line in the shortcoming, therefore instrument, okay, cannot measure accurately a current or voltage which is non-sinusoidal, Okay, so that is the important thing. Any doubt? So it's page number 3 actually. I forgot to insert it. Any query, anything to ask? No. So that is all about our PMM's instrument. I'll send some material to you, not now, little bit later, regarding some problems and solutions, okay, on various instruments, their performance and all these things. Not now, I want to just proceed some more, then I'll. Now we want to start a new instrument. Consider one coil. I don't write the name right now. Okay, I write it. Electro dynamometer type instrument. Electrodynamometer type instrument. Now, first we consider one arrangement. I draw it now. So we are having just something like electromagnet, two pieces of electromagnet. They are connected in series. Their coils are connected in series. The two coils are wound on some core. It is air. There are iron pieces of ferromagnetic material, and then there is a gap between two pieces. In that gap, a moving coil is arranged. So there is a moving coil. Okay, a moving coil is arranged there somehow. Now the moving coil is carrying some current. Okay, moving coil is some current. That current is I2. So I1 is actually, it is fixed current in fixed coil. This is the fixed coil, and I2, it is just placed in a former and all these things already discussed in context with PMM's instrument. So I2 is current in moving coil. Clear? Then we will investigate the performance of that instrument, how the instrument will react to the situation. Note that here in a PMM there is a permanent magnet, but here permanent magnet is replaced by an electromagnet. Therefore, the magnetic field is generated by the fixed coil current I1. So from PMM's instrument, we are having some modification here. In PMM's instrument, there is only one coil, which is the moving coil. In electrodynamometer type instrument, there are two coils, one fixed coil, which is generating the magnetic field or flux density B, and another moving coil, which is carrying the current I2 here. Note that our fixed coil, since the coil is fixed there, there is no restriction to the weight of the coil because the coil is not moving at all. So the coil can be heavy. Fixed coil can be heavy. Fixed coil can be heavy. Therefore, the cross-sectional area of the conductor can be high. Okay. Therefore, the cross-sectional area of the coil can be high. It can carry a current of as large as 20 to 30 ampere. The operating current, here the operating current is 20 to 30 ampere directly without any shunt or anything. Okay, directly. Okay. And since it is carrying large amount of current, a large magnetic field can be produced. Although, since there is a large air gap, and we know the reluctance of the air gap is quite high. So what is the flux? Flux equal to MMF, magnetomotive force, by reluctance. So as the reluctance is large, therefore, in spite of having high MMF, because of high current, okay, our magnetic field is not really very large, which is just sufficient for our purpose. Which is just sufficient for our purpose. For the moving coil, just the opposite thing. As the coil is carrying, okay, moving coil, as the coil is moving, so its weight should be small. Moving coil should be of lightweight, that is of low inertia, and also of low friction at the contact points, contact surface, overbearing. Okay, so low inertia. Now, therefore, this coil should have a small cross-sectional area. Therefore, the cross-sectional area of the coil should be small. Okay, so that is point 1 here. Therefore, our fixed coil, that's why here, so current carrying capacity is small, of the order of milliampere, microampere, milliampere, this much, not more than this. Now, as the fixed coil is carrying a large amount of current, therefore, to produce a certain MMF, number of turns need not be made large for the fixed coil. Fixed coil carrying large current need a smaller number of turns. Smaller number of turns. Okay. And moving coil carrying small current needs large number of turns to produce required MMF. Magnetomotive force. You know, magnetomotive force, it is actually the proportional to, it is actually the product of ampere and turns. So small ampere with large turns and large ampere with small turn. Okay, that is this. Now, a fixed coil is, its cross-sectional area is large and current carrying capability is large. Okay, but number of turns is small. Okay, the resistance, so fixed coil, we can say that a fixed coil has large cross-sectional area and smaller turns, that is smaller length of conductor. So its resistance, okay, is insignificant. Insignificant means very small. It's a coil of very low resistance. On the other hand, like go to the next page, page number 5. Moving coil has small cross-sectional area and larger number of turns, that is larger length. So its resistance is quite high, of the order of few hundreds of kilo ohm at least. Okay, its resistance is or few tens of kilo ohm. Its resistance is quite high. Clear? Okay. Our next point is point number 4. Fixed coil can carry high current, so it is called current coil. Sometimes we call it CC. Okay. Moving coil carries small current and has high resistance. So it can withstand large voltage, means few hundreds of volt. Therefore, so it is called voltage coil or pressure coil, PC. It is called voltage coil or pressure coil, PC. In our engineering, voltage is called a pressure. Any system that can withstand large amount of voltage means it can withstand large pressure. When it cannot withstand a large voltage or large pressure, it is undergoing breakdown. Regarding breakdown phenomena and all these things, you will study it in another subject in high voltage engineering in other semesters. Okay, not here. So it is the fixed coil and moving coil. We also call it a current coil and pressure coil. Symbolically, how to represent them? A current coil is having smaller number of turns. We just show it, it is that way. So it is our current coil. And pressure coil It is having large number of turns. We show it this way, pressure coil. So this instrument is called electrodynamometer type instrument, and this is the instrument of two coils. Okay, one current coil and one pressure coil. Okay, so it is having at least 4 terminals. It is having at least 4 terminals. Clear? It is having at least 4 terminals. So that is the basic features of electrodynamometer type instrument. Now we want to know its operating principle. Okay, so next thing will be operating principle. Operating principle and equations and mathematical expressions. So it is a coil, it is an instrument of two coils. One is a coil, fixed coil, sorry, this way. It's carrying a current I1, and another coil is a pressure coil or moving coil. It is carrying some current I2. Okay. Now we know that in general, when there is an AC current induced in a coil, its EMF is what? It is given by equal to N d phi dt or ddt of N phi, or we also call it ddt of L di dt or ddt of Li. So this N phi or Li, it is called lambda, the flux linkage. So the rate of change of flux linkage, okay, is actually the cause of the EMF induced in the coil. Okay, but here not only the self inductance L is there. L, we know it is the self inductance of the coil. But here not only the self inductance is present, some mutual inductance is also there. Why? See here, say if there is one electromagnet is there, some coil is induced there, and another electromagnet there. So when a coil is turned, say coil is carrying current this way. Now we can apply Corkscrew rule to find out the direction of magnetic flux. What is that? You turn a screw, the direction of rotation or turning of the screw is the direction of current. Then the direction of screwing will be the direction of flux. So if you open up a screw, the opening will be the direction of flux, but the direction of screwing is actually the current. So if it is there, therefore now you can say that for this particular figure, so what is the direction of flux? A current is going there. It is coming down in the front end and going up in the back end. Coming down in the front end and going up in the back end. So current is circulating this way. So if this is the case, so we are turning a screw, it is going down in the front end and going up in the back end, going up in the back end, this way. So we are turning a screw. So direction of flux is from left to right. Direction of flux is from left to right. Left to right, we're opening up. So our flux will flow this way. Okay. So B or phi, so it will be also this way. So B or phi, whatever it may be, or going from left to right. Clear? Now, the way there will be a maximum flux linkage for the two coils when the flux generated by the fixed coil is completely linked with the moving coil. Now, what is a moving coil? It is something like a ring. A moving coil is something like a ring. Now, when it is moving coil is in a horizontal position, say this way, the flux goes, so it is the coil of moving coil. It is a moving coil carrying current I2. Now, when the flux goes above the coil or below the coil, above the coil or below the coil, no part of the flux is linked with the moving coil. No part. So therefore, what is the flux linkage? Zero. So no voltage will be induced here. But when the coil is made vertical, that is 90 degree to the plane of flux, then the flux generated by the fixed coil will be completely passing through the moving coil. It is completely passing through the moving coil. Get my point? So flux linkage will be maximum and EMF induced will be maximum. So as the coil is moving this way, there is a change in flux linkage and some EMF will be induced there. And change in flux linkage means the mutual inductance will be changed there, because mutual inductance actually it shows the ratio of, okay, the flux generated to the flux linked with the coil this way, or flux linked with the coil to the flux generated. So not only a self-inductance, a mutual inductance comes in that particular circuit. Okay. So what will be then? Now in the concept of flux linkage then, not only the self-inductance comes, a mutual inductance will come also. Okay, a mutual inductance of the two coil will be there also. So mutual inductance, it depends on the flux produced in the other coil. Therefore, it also relates to the current produced in the other coil. Flux is linked in one coil, but is generated in the other coil. In mutual inductance, flux is linked in one coil, but is generated in the other coil. Okay, you all know, just it's a recapitulation. Now I go to the next page, page number 6. Okay, we are almost at the end today. So what is the flux linkage in coil? Now flux linkage, it's page number 6. Yes. So flux linkage in coil 1. Coil 1 means fixed coil is given by lambda 1. It is equal to L1 I1 plus AM I2. I1 is the fixed coil current, I2 is the moving coil current. Similarly, flux linkage in coil 2 is, that is the moving coil, is lambda 2 equal to L2 I2. Self-inductance always relates to the current in the own coil, same coil. Flux linkage in one coil and the current in the same coil, they are linked, they are related by the self-inductance. Okay, but mutual inductance relates to the flux linkage with the coil in the other current. So it will be M into I1. Okay. So EMF induced in coil 1 is what? EMF induced in the two coils. These are E1 equal to d lambda 1 dt. So it is L1 di1 dt plus M di2 dt plus, note that our mutual inductance, it depends on the position of the relative position of the two coils. So when some flux is produced, sometimes the coil becomes vertical, moving coil, sometimes horizontal or tilted. Depending on the angle, tilting angle or the deflecting angle theta, the amount of flux passing through the coil will change. So the flux linkage will change and mutual inductance will change. So mutual inductance is a function of theta, the angular deflection of the coil. and angular deflection theta is a function of time t because it moves with time. So ultimately our mutual inductance M is a function of time t. So it will be then I2 into dm dt will be a new term, which is normally not present in normal coil. Normally, normal fixed coils. In your previous classes, you have come across with the fixed coils, but here we are just considering moving coils. So in a moving coil, M changes with time t, or it changes with the deflection theta. So M is a function of theta and theta is a function of t. Therefore, M is a function of t finally. Okay. And similarly, E2 equal to d lambda 2 dt equal to L2 di2 dt plus am di1 dt plus I1 dm dt. This one. So in time, so in a small time dt, in an increment of time dt, okay, when there are incremental changes in, okay, incremental changes in, okay, all other quantities, then the change in electrical energy input, the change in electrical energy input to the coil assembly is given by DEI. The change in electrical input is E1 I1 dt. Voltage into current into time is the energy change in electrical energy input. Okay, change in electrical energy input to the coil assembly is given by DEI equal to E1 I1 dt plus E2 I2 dt. So it's equation 1 plus this one. Okay, where E1 and better I write it. Say this is equation 1, this is equation 2. Now this is equation 3. Yes. Now what is the stored energy in a system? When some current flows and there is a magnetic flux inside there, then energy stored is ES equal to half L1 I1 square plus half L2 I2 square plus AM I1 I2. So the change in stored energy, okay, in time dt is given by DES, that is the differential. So it will be what? 2I, so it will be half L1, then 2I1 dI1. Now self-inductance is constant, half L2 2I2 dI2 plus AM I1 dI2 plus AM I2 dI1 plus I1 I2 dm. Or we can write DES. This is L1. Oh, ওকে, তোমরা কি দেখতে পাচ্ছ, শুনতে পাচ্ছ আমার কথা?
স্যার
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ স্যার
স্যার
হ্যাঁ, ঠিক আছে। DES equal to L1 I1 DI1 plus L2 I2 DI2 just M I1 DI2 plus m I2 di1 plus I1 I2 dm. This is our equation 4. Okay. And 6, page number 7. We are almost at the end of the equations. Page number 7. Now, one more energy is there as the coil is moving. Coil and moving system, pointer, everything moves. Then some mechanical, there is a change in mechanical energy. Okay. Okay. The change in mechanical energy due to the angular deflection, change in mechanical energy in the system in time dt due to the change in angular position. Angular position theta is DEM equal to TD into d theta, where TD is the deflecting torque. Torque into angle we know is the energy. Is that one? So it's our equation 5, I think. It was equation 4. Yes, now 5. So applying energy conservation principle of energy conservation, what we get? DEI equal to DES plus DEM. That is change in electrical energy input is equal to the change in stored energy plus change in mechanical energy. Okay, substituting, okay, relation. Now put the value of DEI. It is what? 3, DES 4 and DEM 5. Substituting expressions obtained from 3, 4 and 5. What we get? Okay, and simplifying. I am not simplifying. You just put all these things. Finally, we get TD equal to, we get TD into d theta equal to I1 I2 dm. So do it yourself. I am not doing it. Just put the value. Very easy. I am not doing it. So finally we get TD equal to I1 I2 dm d theta. That is the expression of deflecting torque for that type of instrument, where dm is the rate of change of mutual inductance with respect to the angular deflection of the instrument. And I1 and I2, these are the coil currents, 2 coil currents. Clear? Any questions so far? No. So that is the operating principle. Next day, okay, we will discuss tomorrow. If you want, I can take a class from 2:30. অহনের সঙ্গে আমি যোগাযোগ করে নেব, যদি সম্ভব হয় তোমরা কালকে করতে পারো, যদি বলো যে না রোববার ছুটির বাজার, মাংস ভাত খাবো, তারপরে কি আর সব ক্লাস ভাল লাগে, আলাদা কথা, তাহলে সেটা বলে দিও, অহনের সঙ্গে কথা বলে নেবো। আজকে এই অবধি। এনিথিং টু আস্ক? কিছু বলার নেই তো? ঠিক আছে, আমি মেটেরিয়ালটা পাঠিয়ে দিচ্ছি এক্ষুনি, এইটা যেটা করে নিলাম আর কি। তাহলে আজকে এই অবধি।
ওকে।